I'm Peter Juhasz, Chief Executive Officer of Syrvi AI, and thank you, Ash, for the intro. Welcome, everyone. And so, the afternoon, we're going to be talk about the AI revenue engine. The first part of the presentation, I will cover what the AI revenue engine means, what its purpose, why it's so important, and about how we within Syrvi, how we built it for ourselves. And in a second part, I want to give you something which is not just a concept and is not just about what is it for, but also how you can execute it yourself, even yourself, build it yourself if you wanted to. So that's going to be more on the execution side, and I'm going to be sharing with you some secrets as well on the tools we use and everything else. So as Ash very rightly already mentioned, the SMEs, so small to medium businesses facing a very critical decision whether to implement AI, but I would rather say when to implement AI and how to implement AI. So enterprise level sales systems, enterprise level companies can spend a huge amount of money to implement all the kind of revenue engine I'm going to be showing you today. But this isn't just about the concept, it's more about the practical framework of how you can yourself build a predictable pipeline where the different elements of lead generation works in a cohesive manner, where these things just building your pipeline, and more importantly, over time, they compound as well. So the first slide is the reality. This is one of the most important things of the sales paradox. So what's happening on the market? You need predictable revenue. For a predictable revenue, you need a pipeline, a very strong pipeline. And you cannot operate from the same budget as the enterprise companies does. They have available budget anything from 50 to 200K annually or sometimes even monthly, while on an SME side, up to maximum 10% of the budget available for building such a system, then you can generate leads. So the SMEs need to achieve similar results with perhaps maximum 10% of the budget, which is not easy. But thankfully, in today's world, it's possible with the latest technology. It's pretty much possible to solve a problem which can build you the revenue you aim for. So the paradox, the reason why SMEs struggling, the reliance on isolated tools and isolated tactics, it's one of the main cause I see across multiple sectors, multiple niches in the last 10 years. So isolated tactics, and what I mean by that, some companies use cold emailing, try to send emails on big numbers in bulk. It just became a spam, while others try to do something on LinkedIn, for example, doing some LinkedIn outreach, sending connection requests and try to connect with the right people. It just creates some noise, but no really results, big results. And by others, I hear often, oh, I'm posting once or twice a week or twice a month. So content, I'm talking about posting on your LinkedIn profile, but why I don't see results? Many times I'm hear this question. Content is great and is super important and critical, but content alone will not solve the problem. It's just too slow. So how we can solve this problem to move from isolated tactics to move something which we call a revenue engine concept. So this is a concept I'm going to be addressing. Why it's so important to build integrated system which compounds. So the first layer is outreach. Outreach, which is responsible for build immediate pipeline. How you can build immediate pipeline? You can run cold email campaigns for a prospecting list of 500, 5,000, 50,000 companies, depending on how big your sector and niche, and you can send those emails. You can also send LinkedIn connection requests as well. So with the same ICP, so ID client profiles, if you have one, you can connect with the same people on LinkedIn as well. So that's an extra layer on email to reach those people. But remember, one of the biggest problem which we are all facing is when you're reaching out to those people, most probably they don't know who you are. And this is why there's many reasons why outreach fails on email and LinkedIn as well. But this is one of the most important ones. And how we solve this is we implementing content. We call it a content flywheel. So content alone itself, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is too slow. But what content does, again, what I mean by content is posting kind of thought leadership type of content on your profile, for your LinkedIn profile, 2, 3, 4 times per week, sometimes every day as well, some people does. As long as the content is high quality and as long as the content resonating and addressing the pain point of your ID client profile, it will help you to accelerate your outreach efforts. So people, before they respond back to a cold email or a LinkedIn message, they tend to check profile and they tend to check on you, who you are, whether you are the one can help solve their problems and pains, and only then responding back. So content is definitely help accelerate your outreach efforts on email and LinkedIn. The second thing is can happen is an automated qualification and nurturing system, even a booking system as well. So what I mean by that, leads can come in different ways. You can generate leads from outreach, so people responding back to you, to your email, to your LinkedIn outreach, but in prospect also can come to you via your website, via your LinkedIn content, filling the forms on your website, or however they're coming to you, and you want to have a qualification system which qualifies them and book them with you or with your sales team, depending on whether you have a sales team or not, into their calendar, your sales team or your calendar, and after the qualification, after the booking, you can have the call with them. And this is a momentum we are building with the revenue engine. This is a flywheel we call as a momentum, which is these things accelerating over time and is just going on 24/7 all the time, creating that momentum which we want to create. So the first pillar to create this 3-pillar revenue engine, the first one is the intelligent outreach. So what I mean by that, you need a highly targeting prospecting list. So you need data to generate immediate pipeline. It's not just about sending emails. It's about sending the right emails to the right people with the right messaging. We start with data and with smart segmentation. So data is always come first, but then we need the segmentation. Segmentation, I mean by if there is a sector, what niche, what sub-niche. We can go down to 3-4 level of segmentation because every single industry and sector had these sub-niches. So different companies specialize on different things actually. You also want to do segmentation on the roles as well. So within a company, is it a C-suite? Is it the director level? Is it a manager level? Is it maybe underneath as well? So who you want to targeting? And this is why so important segmentation, because you want your outreach landing via email and via LinkedIn in a right message to the right people. And you want to orchestrate it with 7-8 sequence. And doing this, you also want to personalize that outreach. So with the right data segmentation, multi-level segmentation, the AI agents will be able to write the right content for the right prospects. So your message is not going to come across like a templated outreach message, which everyone else can send, but it's more about come across as someone who understands their business and someone who actually understands their pay points. And then only the final step in this first pillar, which is outreach, the execution itself. So we're going to be start to using email sender tools, and we're going to be start to send those emails. We're also going to be start to send those very personalized messages as well on LinkedIn. Very important, all this work in parallel. So before we go to content, the content flywheel, the content pillar 2, intelligence layer, you might ask the question, how can I make sure that the AI agent is not going to make up some stuff, not going to send something which is completely out of context, or even worse, sometimes we heard about stories. And one of the most important thing we built in our AI revenue engine is we call it as a knowledge base, which is a vector database. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It can be very technical and the purpose is not that, but it's important to understand that our knowledge base for AI agents is very similar like for us, for humans, like a super intelligent SharePoint. Then we can share information with each other, and we can also always all the time has access to the right context, because in order for any AI agents to write a copy, similar to any human to write a copy, you need context. The AI agent need a context. So about your company, about your brand guidelines, about your values, about your value proposition, and also information always relevant to your ID client profile as well. So who are the ID client profiles, or the segmentations, which I showed you in a previous slide. So all those information is super critical for AI agents to write the right copies, because if they don't have the right access or they have the wrong information, then that's where hallucinations start, because AI agents has the bad habit of making up stuff, which we call hallucination, if they don't have the right access to the right information. So you can build this system, the knowledge base, yourself with someone else, via someone else, but it's in the way we built it is including the knowledge base not just for the AI agents but also for the humans. So any work we do internally or any work we do within a team or the AI agents as well, they all using the same source of truth. And it's really, really important, because if we have different information within teams, and it happens sometimes with humans as well, human teams or the AI agents as well, if they have different information or wrong information, then they're going to make up stuff, which we don't want. Now, pillar 2, content flywheel. I already mentioned about the importance of the content flywheel. The first and main purpose at the beginning to create good quality content for your LinkedIn profile or even for your website, if you want to do high quality content for your website like blogs. So in this case, I'm going to talk about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is important because you want to position yourself as an expert. Whoever and whichever segment and ID client profile you're targeting, you want to position yourself as someone trustworthy, someone can help and can solve those pain points and problems. So you want to position yourself as an expert, and that's going to be build your credibility as well. Because when you're sending those emails and LinkedIn connections, people are going to be check on your profile, and they're going to be making sure that they check before they're responding back. So this is a long-term asset, mid to long-term game. I'm always saying this. Don't expect people going to start to come to your post just because you start posting in every day. So you don't think that you're going to be start to generate leads from day one. But again, what it does, it's helping you accelerate your outreach efforts. So more people are going to be responding back. And in mid and long term, I would say after 2-3 months, the way LinkedIn algorithm works, if you know who your ideal client profile and you consistently sending connection requests to those people, in the same time you're developing high quality content. It's critical to develop high quality content which addressing their pain points. Then LinkedIn algorithm start to be your friend, your best friend, and it's going to be start to showing your content to not just to those people who are in your connections, but also to anybody else who might be interested in that type of content you are putting out there. So everybody else who is falling within your ICP ID client profile, those companies, those roles you are targeting, they also going to be checking your content, and that's where inbound lead generation can start from LinkedIn as well. So people can engage with your post, people can comment, and people can even start to send you connection requests and asking for your services and the meetings. So the pillar 3 is what I call is the automated qualification system. It can also be a part of the nurturing system as well. So it's not just people coming to you and people responding back, but also what happens with those who just somehow disappearing after the first positive responses. That's where we want to follow up with those people to making sure that they get some extra content from us, because some people need more time before they commit for a call. Now, whether we're using a voice agent technology, so it's in today's world, people are still very careful with AI voice agents, and I understand why. We're using it, and we also implemented across a couple of clients as well. But there are certain sectors and there are certain businesses are cautious with this, which I fully understand. But it's the time is here and the time is going to come. But it's going to be more and more common to use voice agent technology as well. So what I mean by that, inbound calls, for example, when someone calling you, instead of a human, an AI voice agent, an AI agent going to be pick up the phone, is going to be have a pre-qualified questions they need to ask, whether it's a call is unsolicited, some sales call, or it's the way we are using it, or is someone relevant to your product and service you are offering. And then the AI agents go through all those questions and booking the calendar into your sales team calendar, because this is what is critical. This is where you should be spending your time, whether you have a sales team or whether it's you who does the sale and closing the deals. This is where you should spending the time. You should not spending your time with prospecting, with outreach, which is outreach and email and LinkedIn. You also should not spend your time with qualifying people, because that can be done by a system, by an automated nurturing and qualification system. You should be spending your time here when your prospect already went through the qualification, booked the call, so they are highly relevant prospects, not just anybody, and you can close a deal and you can make the sale yourself. So the whole flywheel effect is being created by the 3 pillars. One, which is the outreach, email and LinkedIn. The second, which is a content for your LinkedIn, which helps you to increase your touch points, but is also helping to accelerate your immediate pipeline from your outreach. And the third one, with or without voice agents, an automated qualification and booking system. It doesn't need a voice part. It just can be like sales SDR, we call them, sales development representative agents, AI agents, who can ask the right questions even via email or via chat on WhatsApp or whichever platform, Telegram, whichever platforms you use. So voice agent technology is just on top of it if you need and if you want, but it doesn't require a voice agent. The qualification system can work other than this as well. So how you would do this and what tools you would need for this to achieve, and this is why I'm going to be stop sharing just for a sec, and I'm going to be doing second part of the presentation, which will be more about making sure that I show you something how you can execute yourself. So I hope you see my screen now. I can see it. So before you execute a plan, build a AI revenue engine, one of the most important thing you will need is the plan. We call as a GTM, go-to-market growth plan. With every client we are working, we always developing this plan for them. It's super critical to understand, depending on your sector, depending on your niche and service and offering, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Without a plan and without a strategy, it's very, very hard for any system, for any revenue engine or for any AI system to execute a plan properly, because we want this integrated system works. These 3 different pillars work in simultaneously. So normally how it looks like, there is an executive summary about you as a company, your offerings, and the TAM, which is a total addressable market. There is also how the outreach will work, what you can expect, and there is also intent and buying signals as well. So how we can find and what intent signals we can find for your business, because there are very common intent signals like grow and expansion signals, hiring signals for key roles, which can indicate the type of service they need, they're looking for, leadership, strategic changes within companies, and all the rest. These are important, and in different sectors and segments, we can tap into different intent signals, and that's what is going to be helping not just getting the messages out in a personalized manner, but also in a timely manner as well, because timing is critical. So if someone just searching for a solution, type of solution you are offering, then they will more inclined to reach out to you or respond back to you. So service alignment is very important as per total addressable market. So we definitely want to make sure that we break it down what kind of service you are offering, and we also break it down every single segment and showing exactly how many companies we can find within those segments, the number of decision makers we can find within those segments, and also priority. What would be the priority in terms of the companies, the segments we would be targeting? High, medium to high, medium. So we always broke at least 4 or 5 different segments and companies as well. And this is super critical, and very, very few people talk about decision makers by role category. Why so important? Because what you're going to find, and what we found running campaigns for over 5 years now, outreach campaigns, is the size of the company makes a whole world of difference in terms of which title, what person you want to target within the company. So for example, let's say we have a value proposition which is relevant for ESG and sustainability offerings, then it could be that we're not targeting the founders and the directors and the owners, which most of the people would do generally. Yes, let's target founders, let's target the owners first. The problem with this approach, if the company is more than, I would say sometimes more than 10 or 20 or 30 employees plus, founders, owners, even C-suite will not answer back, or they will answer back a straight no. But if you are targeting relevant titles, for example, in this example and case, head of social value manager, ESG director, ESG lead, sustainability director, or even supply chain director, whatever, all the rest, then you're going to have more luck probably to get response back. So we normally do tier 1 and tier 2 targeting, what the within ideal client profile. So what tier 1 means? Tier 1 mean the most likely people going to be responding back to our outreach, and tier 2, who are they going to be escalating it to? So the CEO might not responding back to you, like a 50 or 100 employees CEO not going to be responding back to you or going to be saying no, whilst if you're targeting a head of social value or social value manager, they will be escalating to the CEO, because the pay point is different, and this is critical. The pay point of the CEO or founder can be completely different, and most of the time different from certain other roles. So this is why the segmentation, which I showed you before, so important, because if you don't have the segmentation right, don't have the roles right, then you're going to be start sending messages tackling a different pay points from what you should be sending to, if that makes sense. We're also doing an ICP breakdown. So ICP stands for ID client profile. So this one stands for ID client profile, and we break it down by campaigns as well. So campaign 1, for example, construction, contractors. We also detailing the industries, the locations, and the revenue. For example, what kind of revenue the company can have. We can target different size of companies, employee count as well, and you can see that every single company has job titles tier 1 and tier 2 for targeting. We're also using company keywords as well, and then we have campaign 2, the same thing, the same detailed breakdown of who we were targeting within those company, and then campaign 3 and campaign 4 and 5 is the same thing. What I'm not going to be showing you today is every single campaign which we are developing within this go-to-market plan, grow plan. We're also developing for each of the 5 campaigns, we're developing a playbook. So what playbook means, what is going to be including every single role within tier 1 and tier 2 who we are targeting, let's say CEO, manager, director, chief commercial officer, head of products. Every single title gonna have a messaging, pay points, depending on the size of the company, the pay points, the angles we're gonna be using. So what angle we're gonna be talking with the pain, we're gonna be offer something. So different angles we are using to different titles, and status quo, what would happen with them if we didn't have them, and all the rest. So it's a very, very detailed playbook for every single person who we're gonna be targeting within each of those companies. So that's we also develop developing after this go-to-market growth plan. ICP of ICP, so ID client profile of your ID client profile. Very rare if I ever hear about the importance of this, but it is so critical to know that in order for you to land the message and not come across as a templated outreach message which everybody can send on LinkedIn and email, who is your ID profile selling to? It's really important and gives this system, the AI revenue engine, the AI agents, when they're writing the copies, it gives the information to make it land it in a way it come across, okay, this person and this company understand my problem, understand my pay point, and it want to solve my pay point. So it's just landing your message in a right way. And then once we have all this information and developed all this, which I'm going to be showing you in the next part, then the value proposition by segment. So depending on your offering, your services, we're going to be break it down by segment. So the different sectors and niches going to be get different messages. Your key differentiators, so your USP, unique selling point, essentially why you are different from others and why would they need to choose you versus others. And once we have all this information, then the example positioning and angles going to come for the cold outreach. So every single campaign, every single tier is going to be receiving a different message. For example, LinkedIn connection requests. By the time the AI agents developing these copies for LinkedIn connection request, email subject lines, multiple variables, email opening lines, and also the follow-up sequence as well. So how email and LinkedIn together work together. It's all based on all the previous slides which I show you. So without that information, the revenue engine and the AI agents within the revenue engine who develop the copies wouldn't know who to send and what email copies and what subject line they would need to stand, because you want to stand out and we all want to stand out when we landing in someone's inbox. So as you can see, every single campaign has different messaging, has a different LinkedIn connection request, which is relevant and referencing the particular sector and niche and pay points. Every single subject lines is relevant to that sector and niche, and every single opening lines as well, if you can see, is relevant to the particular sector and niche and segments we are targeting. And this is so important. So everything is personalized. Implementation roadmap, we normally do implementation roadmap as well for the first 12 weeks. So how would the outcomes look like after the 12 weeks? And then obviously what success metrics and what they can get out of this plan. Now, this is where I really wanted to give you something which you can use immediately, which you can take away immediately. I wanted to give you something which, how I would build an AI revenue engine. So let's say we don't have this system within Syrvi, we haven't got a software. What would I